Moonlight shines through the parted curtains as a woman sits atop a windowsill. Her head rests against the cold glass while staring at the snow that is falling to the ground. The wooden handle of the knife resides in her tightened grip as tears roll down her cheeks, dropping onto her bare skin of her porcelain legs. Images of every painful time within her life float across her mind, which causes her heart to sink into the pit of her stomach. This is it, she thinks aloud. I am mentally, physically, and emotionally exhausted. All of the pain can finally end. The woman's life had never been easy, considering all the things that had happened to her while she was growing up. The things she had to endure on a daily basis, tormented by her peers in school, and made fun of by her colleagues at work once she had graduated high school. It was not the woman's choice to be brought into existence. It was not her choice to deal with all of the bullshit. The pain needs to end, and it has to end. Then, only then can she finally be free. It doesn't matter who considers themselves to be friends or family, because no one would miss the woman once she was gone. This is the only way to be set free from off of her damned misery. The knife glides across her pale skin, more tears rolling down her chin while she watches crimson liquid oozing out of the small and deep gashes. She exhales in a sigh of relief, knowing that she can finally be at ease for once. She no longer has to deal with the daily torment she calls life. Blood drops onto her left leg, rolling down the side before falling to the floor. It seeps between the mahogany boards, destroying beautifully built spiderwebs as the liquid travels further and further beneath the house, until it lands on a pair of decrepit, dusty lips. A long, dried tongue pokes through the lips, gliding along the dark-colored liquid. The lips part, and the jaw muscles moving up and down as they are trying to work out any and all kinds of kinks. Dust-covered bones of the figure's arms and legs crack upon being moved after so many years of laying dormant. The skeleton slowly sits up, flesh slowly crawling along the bones where muscles and tissues had been once upon a time. The thing moves its head around in a clockwise circular motion, just as its head snaps up towards the floorboards. The woman's loud weeping travels through the ventilation system of the house, causing the figure to stand up, cracking the entire way. The figure slowly crawls its way through the foundation of the basement, the boards above being busted and tossed upon big burly shoulders touching them. The critters within the walls and on the floor scamper in different directions. The creature continues to climb through, despite the vile little things around him. The weeping woman has drawn his attention, and the pain she feels within her heart radiates the entire being, bringing to life the desire for mayhem that he once had. Bells jingle louder and louder with every floor that has been torn apart, until finally the creature bursts through the boards to where the woman was held. The woman is startled by the sudden commotion. Her blue eyes widen at the sight of this ancient creature, yet she is too sad to cower in fear. The creature approaches the woman, tongue gliding along his lips once more as he towers over her. Her back touches the cold glass of the window as the creature leans closer. Skin still crawls along his bones, and the brown of his irises returning to the shade of light that they used to be. The white beard of his chin quickly changes to a sleek black color, while the rest of his being is restored. "You are sad, my child," the creature harshly croaks. I'm fine," the woman says. "I know this not to be true," he coughs. "How about we make a deal?" What kind of deal?" "Well, your liquid is the thing that has brought me back to life. I require more of it in order to be restored to the truest self. However, in return for the nutrients, I shall punish the people who have hurt you." "That's all it takes?" she inquires. "Indeed, my child, that is all it takes. The creature nods. The woman nervously chews on the inside of her left cheek, her mind attempting to decide upon which she should do. Should she help this thing become the truest self that it can be and punish the wicked people who have destroyed her life? Or should she go back to the weeping misery of trying to end her life? The choice is simple. Give a little of her blood and have this thing bring chaos to those who truly deserve it? The woman holds out her bleeding arm. Deal, she nods. The creature's somewhat younger-looking lips pulled up to a smile before his tongue lands on the sweet, molasses-like liquid, while one hand brings her closer. Several moments pass by, and the sound of saliva being lapped up like a dog drinking out of the water bowl, and the creature pulls himself away from the sweet-tasting woman. Haha, by Christmas morning, those who have been truly wicked shall be punished, he chuckled. The creature stands up, his fur darker than what it had been just moments prior. He gives her one wicked smile before disappearing into thin air. The woman stands up from the place that she had been sitting, and anxiously begins to pace across the room. Will this creature keep true to his word and actually punish the people that deserved it? The ringing of bells sound, a belt swaying to and from as someone takes a large stride towards the large open field where two houses stand. The house is small, 1 story tall with a beautiful white light strung along the railings and the pillars of the porch. There's an inflatable snowman sitting beside the staircase where footprints suddenly appear. First one at the bottom stairs, slowly ascending the staircase until finally stopping on the landing of the concrete porch. The sound of a few knocks on the front door sound as soon as the handle starts to jiggle. This causes a light in the house to turn on, the door being quickly swung open by a tall, groggy-looking man. The dazed expression on his face as he peers his head out the door, looking from his left to his right only to see nothing. The door is quickly shut to keep the cold air outside and the warmth of the fireplace in. However, something loud hits the top of the roof. What the fuck? The man groggily wanders aloud. Bells loudly echo in the man's ear. It doesn't appear to wake up anyone else who may be laying asleep within the house. The man throws his hands to his ears, and dropping to his knees because of how painful the ringing is, a dark figure leisurely approaches the kneeling man. A dirty old sack lands on the floor just as the figure extends a large black hand with lanky fingers. The man's entire body tenses upon feeling long fingernails land in his hair. His hands fall to his sides while his face drains of all color. It seems like the man is fully aware of what is happening, of what is lurking in the shadows behind him, about what is touching him. The man's jaw falls agape as if he were going to speak. However, he isn't given that chance. Those long fingernails dig into his temples on each side of the man's head. Blood begins to seep out of the small puncture wounds as the dirty nails drive deeper and deeper into the man's skull. Bone crunching echoes throughout the quiet room. The only other noise being heard is the sound of a crackling fire. Muscles, tissue, and even some veins fall to the floor as the wounds in the man's head grow wider, and the hand makes a sudden upward motion, splitting the temples wide open. Braid matter lands on the floor in a messy red clump. The figure grabs the left arm of the man's body, chuckling loudly as he stuffs the limp body into a red sack. Every room is empty upon the figure taking a peek into them. He disappears from sight only to appear once more at the second house. The door is knocked on, and the handle jiggled much like the first house. Hell, even a light turned on this time. There was no banging on the roof. No, both people who needed to be punished were standing in the upstairs hallway. A short blonde-haired woman stands in front of the staircase, her hands tightly pressed against her ears, her attempt to stop the ringing. The man standing just behind her places his hands on her shoulders, like he is trying to figure out what is going on, but he too drops to his knees. The ringing in his ears has begun, and there's nothing that they are able to do about it. The dark figure appears behind the woman, His hands grab a hold of her shoulders before pressing her to the left. A rusty large nail sticks out of the woman's throat before she even had a chance to scream. Crimson liquid rolls down her chin, all evidence of life now leaving her eyes as her body goes limp. The man screams out in horror at the sight before him. The figure now turns toward him, a sinister smile on his grotesque-looking lips. The man's eyes widen as the figures brighten, a truly evil glimmer in his eyes. The man quickly crawls to his feet, his slippers sliding across the hardwood floor as he runs toward the end of the hallway. His hands struggle with the handle of the door, and heavy footsteps slowly approach him. The door swings open only to reveal a tall, dark figure, belt swaying to and fro as the bells begin to jingle again. The figure's hands reaches out and grabs a hold of the man's throat, his fingernails digging into the man's throat, yet he doesn't squeeze. No, the figure lifts the man up from the ground and slams his head into a nearby mirror. The mirror shatters into many different sized shards, and the biggest shard possible punctures the man's left eye. The tip of the glass protrudes out of the back of his head as the figure menacingly chuckles. The figure heavily stomps his way out of the darkened hallway, one small stride at a time as he drags the last victim's body behind him. A trail of smeared blood being the only evidence of a crime behind. The figure pulls the woman's body from the nail hanging in the wall and stuffs each body into the burly red sack before hoisting it over his shoulder. The figure's weight makes the stairs groan beneath him as he descends the staircase and disappears from sight. The woman who was weeping not long ago still paces around the room she had been confined to when the figure appears. He drops the burly red sack on the hardwood floor, which startles the woman. He unties the golden string from the top of the sack, the three bodies of her truly evil companions spilling onto the floor. The figure satisfyingly smirks down at the woman, proud of the work that he had promised to accomplish by the dawn of Christmas Day, a promise he kept true. The woman's eyes widen for a mere moment, shock consuming her face, yet it quickly disappears once she looks up at the creature. A small smile creeps onto her own lips as she takes a step closer to him. "My word to you has been kept, as has your promise. Our deal has come to an end, and your pain shall now end," the figure says. "Thank you, Krampus." The woman nods. Krampus shoves the bodies of his victims into the red sack once more, retying the gold ribbon before placing his hands on the woman's cheek. He gives her an understanding and sincere smile before disappearing. The woman is not able to hear the ringing of the bells as Krampus trudges down the sidewalk, the frigid winter wind blowing through his beard as well as his hair. Blood, pure and sweet, innocent when tasted, had been the one thing to bring the Christmas devil back from his slumber. The pain of an innocent young woman had made his desire to continue punishing the wicked grow stronger. Blood, in its truest form, is the reason why Krampus continues to deliver his punishments. Be careful when listening to the wind on Christmas Eve. You may just hear the ringing of the bells, and if you do, well, you better run.